Hello everybody, welcome back to another adventure with Charlie's Adventures, where we tell you no lies. Today we're getting ready to start on this Honda Pioneer 520 with right front axle. I busted the boot back in deer season. The stick busted the boot and I didn't catch it, and it's already popping and real loose. So I've already got one for it, and we're going to change it out. And, as you can see right here, well, it's actually already stripped. You see that? You can see the boot in there tore up. What I'm going to do is, I've already got it jacked up. I'm going to pull the wheel off, and then we'll have to take the ball joint nuts off, and at least one of them, probably the lower. I don't know if we'll have to do the upper and lower or what, but anyway, I'm going to dig into this thing. I'm going to take the front wheel off, and then we'll go from there. Alright, stay tuned. Alright, this would be a good time for you to like, share, subscribe, and comment. Ring that notification bell if you want to continue seeing videos like these right here on the Pioneer 520. Alright, I've got the Pioneer 520 jacked up, and I've got a jack standing under it. Got the wheel off and the wheel spacer, and you can see down in there, you can tell the boot's busted, and this axle it's already toast. You can see right there, it's already slipping. So it's done. So I'm going to work on probably going to pull the brake caliper off and get it hung up out of the way, and then I'll go to pulling off what I need to be able to get the axle out. We're going to have to remove this Carter key here and take that nut off for sure, and then we'll have to see what we got to take off. Probably the top and bottom ball joint, I don't know for sure yet, but we will find out here the more we get into it. Stay tuned. Alright, in order to get the caliper loose, you got to take this plastic cover off. Takes a 10mm socket, one at the bottom, one at the top. Then the caliper, to get it off, is two 12mm, one at the top, one at the bottom. I just took a bungee cord and hooked it onto the caliper to hang it up out of the way. You don't want to put a lot of pressure on these brake lines. Alright, now I'm going to spray this down with WD-40, which you know it's got dirt in it, and that is takes a 30mm socket for that. And then once I get that, then I'm going to start taking the ball joints loose to be able to pull the axle out of the knuckle, out of the hub. It's splined in, and then once I get the knuckle pulled back out of the way, then we'll get the axle out of the differential. Stay tuned. Okay, I've got the nut off the axle. I ended up taking this brake line loose right here. It's got a bolt. Now these are the Super ATV A-arms, but your factory will be the same way. I took this bolt out right here out to give more room for the brake hose, and I loosened this one right here. I just loosened it. I've got the carter key, carter pin out of this castle nut for the lower ball joint, and I've got this nut loose. Okay, I jacked it up right here and took the shock, this lower shock mount loose. If you put just a tad of pressure on it, that bolt for the shock will pull right out. Now I've got the weight on it, and we're going to just smack it right here with a hammer. And that should release that ball joint. Alright, see there? Now I can remove this nut. And there's a washer right there as well. Okay. Alright, now I've got that castle nut off. My bottom A-arm went completely down. Okay, now I think I need to turn the steering wheel one way or another, but I should be able to pull this axle out like that right there. Alright, let me get a grease rag. I don't intend on reusing this old axle. So I'm hoping that I can, you can already tell this joint, yeah, it's busted. Let me just cut that boot on off and get rid of that. Okay, alright, I've got the shock pulled up above the rotor. I took this blue bungee, I started out with a red, but I took this blue, wrapped it around the stud and back up to the frame to hold all this up out of the way. So now we're going to remove the axle. Now if you're going to reuse the axle, you don't want to do this, but if you're not planning on reusing the axle, right here's a good way of getting it out. You want to push in and give it a good swift pull. Some of these axles slide right out, some of them don't, and I have replaced this axle before. And I'll talk about why in a minute, but we're gonna well, naturally this one's gonna be a bear. Sometimes you may have to take a pry bar you just got to be careful about your seal. Usually they pull out easy. I don't know why this one's not. Alright, I've tried and tried and tried pry bars, everything else. I've got a chain wrapped around this axle now, and I'm gonna get me some gloves on. I'm gonna see if I can get a little slack in this chain. See what we can do here. And it's not coming. Now I've succeeded in pulling the axle apart inside. So now I have no idea what I'm going to do. Alright, as you can tell, I pulled the axle out of the inner cup trying to pull it out with the chain. I've got me a slide hammer here, and I've got some outside puller jaws on it, and it's around this boot clamp. I don't know if that'll be enough to hold it or not, but we're getting ready to find out. Hopefully it will. Probably it won't. And it did not. All that did was pulled the boot and clamp off of there. So now we're gonna have to back up to a plan B. Well, this will probably be plan D or E. We're not to Z yet, so that's a good thing. Alright. I went to town and bought a muffler clamp. And we're going to try the slide hammer on the muffler clamp. And it does not appear that the muffler clamp's going to do any good either. And there went plan E or D or C. Folks, I don't know if it's coming or not. I can't get a good pull on it for this knuckle. Hanging down in the way. We'll try to get it up as, yeah, there we go. Okay folks, as you can see, I got the axle out, but it wasn't on camera. But I had the muffler clamp around the cup. I tightened the piss out of it this time, and I just kept pulling, and you can see the keeper ring right there. It broke into 3 pieces, and I took a magnet right there and put it all around up in the differential to make sure I got every piece, and that's when I got that little small piece. But you can see right there, it tore the splines right here up and right there a little bit. I mean, the thing was stuck, and the only thing I can see is it was the keeper holding it in there, and that tight. But anyway, I'm gonna go to putting this thing back together. That was a 5-pound slide hammer and a 2 3/4 inch muffler clamp, and you can see in there I had just a few threads left to tighten, but you know, I finally got it. You can see in there I put a little grease on that seal to try to keep water and stuff out when I put this new axle in. And I've got a Rhino 2.0 axle from Super ATV.com. That's what I bought to replace this one here with. I've heard good things about these axles. Says built for battle, is what they say. And I had replaced this axle once before, right after I first got the side-by-side. Wow, this inside cup is a lot bigger. I hope this is the right one. Can you see the difference there? This end that goes in the differential looks the same, but look at the difference in those cups. A lot bigger and heavier. I hope I've got room for that with the A-arm. I guess I better double check part numbers here to make sure. Yeah, I'm going to double check the part number on that. It's probably the right one, or just probably built heavier. The part that goes in the differential looks the same. We'll see, and I'm going to pull this keeper off and make sure it slides in and out freely before I put the keeper that broke on that was holding it. I'm going to take this keeper off and make sure it slides in the splines freely before I do the final install. Alright, I'm gonna let's see, the part number is AX-3-52-FR-O-DT 220825 1A00353726. And it all looks correct to me. It's just this inner cup looks a lot heavier. So we'll see about that. And the outer cup looks the same. So I'm gonna say that this is the correct one. They're just, these Rhinos are built a lot tougher. Alright, stay tuned. We'll go to installing here in just a few minutes. Oh, and another thing I did, I don't know if it helped, but I took the propane torch and heated the inside of the cup a little bit, but I don't think that really helped. You know, I didn't do it but about 3 minutes or so, just got it warm. And I think the main thing was just staying with it and not giving up and walking away from it. But anyway, we got her out of there. That's the main thing. Stay tuned. Alright, I'm gonna try the axle in here just to make sure the splines and all are okay. Pretty tight. They probably need to be. Slide in easy. There we go, they were just dry. Yeah. Alright, I took the snap ring off just to try it. We'll put the snap ring back on and we're going to go to putting it back together. Alright, I've got the snap ring back on, so we're going to put the axle in the diff, make sure it's in, the splines are in the differential. I don't know why it's so hard to put in and take out with the keeper. Alright, went. Alright. That is installed. Now I'm going to start taking my bungee cords loose that I had holding the knuckle and rotor and all that up in the shock. And I think I'm going to have to turn the steering wheel to one side of the other, excuse me. turned it to the right. Well, hang on just a minute, folks. I was about to overlook something. And we'll clean that out and put new grease in there. And we'll clean that out the best I can. You can see that's pretty grungy in there. Oh, there we are. Sorry. We'll clean that out and put some new grease in that. Stay tuned. Okay. I've got that cleaned out. And then I packed it with some grease on the inside of the bearing and the seal. Some red grease. Try to keep water out. Now I'm going to try to feed the splines of the axle into the hub. I'm going to put NICs on the end of the splines here. Now I'm going to try to pull this out and we'll get this to go together. Probably should have removed that. There we go. I was going to say probably should have removed the shock. There we go. I probably blocked you out. Straighten the steering wheel up now. Oh, and by the way, this was the correct part number for the axle. The inner cup is just built a lot heavier. Alright, I'm going to get the correct socket for this nut and I'll be right back. Stay tuned. Alright. This is a 30mm socket. I'm just going to pull it up by hand. And now, that was the torque locker slipping, that's what that was. Now I'm going to jack the, I'm going to hook the lower ball joint up and try to get the nut on it. I had put all the bolts in a bag and put them inside the side by side. Needing the castle nut. And the Carter pin. Hopefully I can get this fairly easy. And there we go. I'm going to stick a screwdriver in there and turn that ball joint before I can get the Carter pin in it pretty easy. If you ever do those and get them turned wrong, they can be a bear to get out. Starting the nut. Now I'm going to jack the A-frames up. And get my shock bolt lined up. That should be very close right there. A little bit too high. Go. Got the shock bolt started. All right, I'm going to tighten the shock bolt, tighten the bottom ball joint nut, castle nut, and put the Carter pin in the bottom ball joint, put the brake caliper on, and I'll be back. This bottom ball joint nut is a 17 millimeter. Okay, I'm forgetting one thing, folks. There's a washer. I noticed that that castle nut was going down too far. There's a washer that goes on first. So if you notice that your castle nut's going down below the hole for the cotter pin to work correctly, you'll know that you needed that washer on there. That's how I caught that. That's the reason I do my videos more in depth. That way you can see the mistakes that are possible, because I make them all the time anymore. Part of it. But I got the washer on there now, and we're going to go to snugging him down. Yeah, it's more like it. I'll turn the wheel just a little so I can get a better turn on that. Alright. Turn it back and put my cotter pin in. Well, I lined it up to the wrong hole, so we'll have to turn it a little more. The ball joint turns when the steering knuckle turns. Okay. Castle nuts on the bottom ball joint. And the cotter pins in. Now, I can't find my torque wrench for whatever reason. So I'm getting ready to tighten that big axle nut. Stay tuned. Alright, I think the torque on these was 150 foot-pounds. I can't find my torque wrench. I think I loaned it to somebody. I just can't remember who it was. But anyway, I'm going to put 150 foot-pounds of hugga-dugga with the impact. Now I'm going to line the Carter keyhole up. And there we go. Kick. 150 foot-pounds. I hate doing it like that, but I don't know. I can't remember who I loaned my torque wrench to. Maybe it'll come to me someday. Wind has picked up here dramatically, but I'm getting ready to put the brake caliper on, put those bolts back in the brake line here, secure it, and then we'll continue on. Stay tuned. Alright, I've got the brake caliper on and tighten the little black cover. I guess it's supposed to be a boot saver. I don't know, it's a factory deal. Now I'm putting the wheel spacer on, and I put NICs on the studs, and I put NICs in the middle of these bolt holes too on the spacers, so you can get the socket out. That socket fits real snug in there, and it's hard to get the socket out. This job turned into be a fire, really. Just trying to get the axle out was the problem. But we finally got it.
Yeah, I turned around and looked, he pulled up.
driver over there doing some work. That's what you can hear in the background. They're clearing some, cutting some bushes, doing some spraying work, yard work. Wayne's absolutely getting it today. And this is the problem. It's hard to get these sockets out of here. But you all get the picture. All right, I've got the wheel back on. Got it all back together. I didn't record all that. You can see that's the torque locker slipping. That's the way it does. But I got the shock bolted back. Brake caliper on, this plastic piece on, the wheel spacer on, the bottom ball joint on, and the cotter pin in, the axle nut tight with the cotter key in it, cotter pin. So all I like now is jacking this baby up and getting it off the jack stand and that block over there. And the 2021 Pioneer 520 axle swap will be completed. And like I said a little bit ago, this job turned in to be more than what anybody bargained for. Those axles usually pull out pretty easy. Not this one. That's the way it usually goes when you're up against it needing to get other stuff done. That's the way it usually goes. These Rhino 2.0 axles are heavier made. I can already see that by looking. But I'm jacking the 520 up here. I'm going to get this block out from under it, the jack stand out from under it, and we'll be ready to hit the trail again. That's the proper way of the torque locker working. They're a little loud, but man, they make a difference.